How to stop Instagram addiction. Instagram is a seductive, it's endless scroll, algorithmically curated content, and constant social validation taps directly into our brain's reward system. For many, opening the app begins innocently, a few minutes of browsing photos or stories, but it often spirals into hours of passive scrolling, comparing ourselves to others and losing sight of time. The result is a subtle but persistent dependency that affects mood, productivity, and even self esteem. If you've ever caught yourself mindlessly flicking through your feed late at night or feeling anxious when notifications are delayed, you already know the signs. Breaking free from Instagram is not just about willpower, it's about understanding why the app hooks you, restructuring your environment, and cultivating habits that satisfy your psychological needs without the device. Recognize the psychology behind the app. Before you can stop, you must first understand why Instagram captivates your attention so thoroughly. Instagram is engineered to exploit neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new habits and adapt to stimuli. Each like, comment, or story functions as a micro reward, releasing dopamine and creating feedback loop. The more you scroll, the more your brain expects novelty and instant gratification. Real life example. Emily, a graphic designer, realized that she spent 2 hours a day scrolling through reels yet couldn't remember most of the content. She discovered that it wasn't boredom, it was her brain conditioned to expect microdoses of pleasure. Once she understood the neurological mechanism, she could start interrupting it consciously. Tip: keep a journal for a week, log when, why, and for how long you use Instagram. Awareness is the first step in regaining control. Set clear boundaries and time limits. One of the most effective strategies is deliberate temporal segmentation, dividing your day into blocks of focused activity and controlled social media exposure. Instead of unrestricted use, allocate specific times for Instagram and enforce hard boundaries. For instance, Marcus, a university student, blocked Instagram from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and only allowed himself 20 minutes after dinner. Initially, he experienced withdrawal like feelings, but over time the habit faded as his brain adjusted to predictable periods of access. Apps like Screen Time, iOS, or Digital Wellbeing Android can enforce limits. Combine this with removing notifications. Every ping is a temptation trigger that undermines self control. Replace the habit with meaningful activities. Breaking Instagram addiction isn't just about abs- abstinence, it's about substitution. Humans are dopamine driven creatures, and removing one source of stimulation leaves a void. The key is filling that void with activities that provide intrinsic reward, things that are satisfying in themselves. Consider Mia, a freelancer writer. She replaced her evening Instagram scrolling with a reading non-fiction for 30 minutes and journaling her reflections. The initial urge to check her feed persisted, but the mental stimulation from writing provided a comparable sense of engagement without leaving her anxious or restless. Other ideas: daily walks in nature stimulates attention restoration. Learning a new skill or instrument, deep conversations with friends in person. By substituting, you retrain your brain's reward system, shifting it away from algorithmic manipulation toward self directed fulfillment. Curate your feed and reduce cognitive overload. Instagram overload is partly due to the sheer volume of content and the psychological pressure to keep up. Cognitive overload reduces your attention span and increases compulsive checking. Start by unfollowing accounts that trigger negative emotions, envy, or anxiety. Keep only those that inspire, educate, or genuinely entertain you. Use mute for accounts that clutter your feed without adding value. Example: David, a marketing professional, cut his feed from 500 followed accounts to 120. This dramatically reduces the compulsive urge to scroll because his brain no longer perceives every post as urgent. A curated feed lowers cognitive fatigue, the mental exhaustion caused by constant decision making, and allows social media to serve as a tool rather than a trap. Embrace digital minimalism. Digital minimalism is the philosophy of intentional technology use, emphasizing tools that support your values rather than distract from them. Ask yourself: does Instagram genuinely serve my life goals? For most people addicted to the app, the answer is no. Practical steps: delete Instagram from your phone entirely, using it only on a desktop if needed. Batch check DMs instead of responding instantly. Schedule social media breaks of one full day per week. Laura is a high school teacher, took a month-long Instagram detox. During this period, she reconnected with hobbies she had abandoned and noticed a profound increase in mental clarity and energy. When she returned to the app, she did so with conscious limits rather than unconscious compulsions. Build accountability systems. Habits are easier to sustain when social and institutional reinforcement supports them. Share your goals with a friend, family member, or online community committed to reducing screen time. Case study: two coworkers created a friendly competition. Whoever used Instagram less in a week would treat the other to coffee. Both reported feeling less anxious, more productive, and more present in real life interactions. This external reinforcement helps counteract the internally reinforced reward loop created by Instagram. It also turns quitting into a socially supported challenge rather than an isolated struggle. Practice mindfulness and self reflection. Mindfulness is a cornerstone in reducing social media addiction. Being fully present with your thoughts and emotions allows you to notice the compulsion before it manifests. Real life example: Jason, a software engineer, started meditating for 10 minutes daily. When he felt the urge to scroll, He paused, identified the emotion, boredom, loneliness, stress, and made a conscious choice, often deciding to walk outside or read a chapter of a book instead. Mindfulness reduces impulsive by increasing metacognition, awareness of your own thought processes over time. Compulsive checking loses its grip because your conscious mind begins overriding automatic reactions. Accept that setbacks are normal. Breaking any habitual behavior triggers temporary discomfort and sometimes relapse. Instagram addiction is no exception. The brain resists change because it craves immediate reward. Instead of self blame, frame setbacks as experimental learning. Observe what triggered the lapse, adjust strategies, and try again. Progress is rarely linear, but consistent application of the strategies above gradually reshapes behavior. Instagram addiction thrives on subtle, almost invisible psychological hooks. Breaking free requires awareness, structure, and deliberate substation. The strategies above temporal segmentation, mindful replacement, fit creation, digital minimalism, accountability, mindfulness, and acceptance don't demand extreme willpower. They demand intentionality, repetition, and patience. By practicing these habits, Instagram becomes what it should be, a tool for connection, creativity, and inspiration, rather than a silent drain on your attention, energy, and mental health. Remember, freedom from digital addiction is not deprivation, it's a reclamation. Reclaiming time, mental space, and focus for the things that actually matter. Academic words: dependency, a state of relying on or being controlled by something. Excessive Instagram use can create psychological dependency. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form and reorganize synaptic connections. Instagram exploits neuroplasticity by conditioning dopamine responses. Temporal segmentation, dividing time into structured intervals for specific tasks. Setting Instagram limits uses temporal segmentation to prevent overuse. Dopamine driven, motivated by the neurotransmitter dopamine, linked to pleasure and reward. Mindless scrolling is dopamine driven behavior. Intrinsic, intrinsic reward. Satisfaction derived from the activity itself, not external reinforcement. Reading for pleasure provides intrinsic reward. Cognitive overload. Mental strain caused by too much information or decision making. A cluttered Instagram feed can create cognitive overload. Digital minimalism, intentional use of technology to support personal values. Practicing digital minimalism reduces compulsive social media use. Institutional reinforcement, support from external structures or social systems to encourage behavior. A socially accountability system provides institutional reinforcement for limiting Instagram. Metacognition, awareness and understanding of one's own thought processes.